Hi, I'm Rick Kaler. Thanks for joining me. Over my years as a financial advisor, I've helped a lot of clients work through the financial and emotional aspects of major life transitions. Now, in welcoming two new partners to the firm I started as sole owner 40 plus years ago, I've been working hard to take my own advice. I've spent years preparing for this, working with consultants, stepping away from key roles, mentoring successors, and refining systems to make the transition as smooth as possible. I knew that there would be hard negotiating, compromise, that there'd be change as I turned over the management reins. I listened to all of my predecessors that had gone before me in succession. And I knew especially those first few months were really hard. I was still not ready for the emotional intensity. Inviting two new partners, Paul and Ben, into the firm felt less like completing a transaction and more like entering a marriage that created a blended family. I would almost say a marriage at first sight. For me, it marked the end of 40 years of independence and the beginning of a shared future. For them, it meant stepping into an established household with its own history, rhythms, and unspoken rules. My challenge is to let go. Theirs is to navigate how to bring their perspectives forward without disrupting the values that have defined the firm for decades. Much like planning a wedding, the business side of the transaction included finalizing endless details, valuations, legal documents, job titles, responsibilities, role definitions. That was the easy part. The harder work was, and is, negotiating how to merge cultures, share authority, and build mutual trust. William Bridges, who wrote extensively about change, said every transition begins with an ending and ends with a beginning. The neutral zone in between is where transformation takes root. That middle space, what Susan Bradley calls the passage, was where we found ourselves for many months. It was messy, uncertain, and at times really uncomfortable. There were moments of awkwardness and tension. It was also where the real growth happened. My emotions included pride in what I built, gratitude for sharing the load, and excitement for the firm's future. There was also fear of losing relevance and watching something I had nurtured change in ways I could not control. As Bridges reminds us, change is situational, but transition is psychological. The external details may be settled, but internally, you are still learning how to shift identities. At this moment, the firm still doesn't feel like mine anymore. It does not yet feel like ours. The wedding day is behind us, and we are figuring out how to live together as we develop a new shared culture and rhythm. At times, I have to remind myself that the goal is not to preserve what I had built exactly as it was, but to make room for something new to grow. When people think of a business transition, they often picture a finish line, a sale date circled on the calendar when the deal is done, the papers are signed, and everyone celebrates a new beginning. Imagine it instead as a wedding means accepting that the day it becomes official is only the start of the real work. That work is essential, and it's not always smooth. Navigating the difficult parts is where trust deepens and a new entity takes shape. It takes courage, vulnerability to move from the familiar past to the unknown future. One honest conversation at a time. For me, it's also important to keep in mind a quote from Simon Sinek, author of Start with Why. He said, "Leadership isn't about being indispensable. It's about building something that can thrive without you." That is the aim. The work in front of all of us is to keep showing up with honesty, patience, and curiosity as we build something new together. Thanks for listening.